Have you ever wanted to tell a story, but, not with words, but with your own two hands? Well, that's exactly what amigurumi is all about. It's this beautiful Japanese art of crocheting these small, stuffed yarn creatures. And honestly, it's not just about crafting. It's about bringing characters to life one single stitch at a time.
I mean, just look at this. Look at the detail, the expression, the whole character. All of that is made from just a simple strand of yarn and a crochet hook. Every single stitch becomes part of its story, building up a personality from literally nothing. And yeah, it might look complicated, but the secret is it's all built from really simple, repeatable steps.
And that's the best part. This is a skill that absolutely anyone can learn. So, if you're ready to start creating your own characters and telling your own stories with yarn, then you are in exactly the right place. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. Every great adventure needs the right gear, right? So let's go over the essential toolkit you're gonna need to get started. And don't worry, it's surprisingly simple.
So, these are the basics. You'll want a small crochet hook, something like a 2.5 millimeter, to make sure your stitches are nice and tight so the stuffing doesn't peek through. Stitch markers, they're gonna be your best friend, trust me. They help you keep track of where each round starts. Then you just need a yarn needle for sewing the parts together, some fiberfill for stuffing, and of course, safety eyes to really give your creation its soul.
Now let's talk yarn. This choice is actually super important. For amigurumi, you really want a smooth yarn that gives you that clean, crisp stitch definition. A DK or worsted weight is perfect. That just refers to its thickness. And here's a big tip. Try to avoid those really fluffy, fuzzy yarns. They feel soft, sure, but they can blur all the details and shapes you're working so hard to create. Stick with smooth yarn and your character's features will really pop.
Okay, so every crochet pattern is written in its own kind of shorthand. It definitely looks like a secret code at first, but I promise you, it's a simple language that, once you learn it, unlocks pretty much every project you can imagine.
These right here are the fundamentals. Most projects start with a magic ring, which is just a cool technique to start a circle without a hole in the middle. The single crochet, or SC, is going to be your workhorse stitch. You'll use it constantly. And then ink and deck, increase and decrease, those are the two magic actions you'll use to actually sculpt your shapes. Now, if there's one special technique to master, it's the invisible decrease. A normal decrease can sometimes leave a little bump or a gap, but this technique, you work through only the front loops of the stitches, which makes the decrease practically disappear. It creates a much smoother, tighter fabric, which is absolutely key for getting those perfectly rounded shapes. It's a total game changer for getting a professional finish.
And now for the really cool part. This is where we take those simple stitches and turn them into three-dimensional forms. You're not just crocheting anymore, you're basically sculpting with yarn.
Think of it like this. When you start a piece, say the head, you'll do a bunch of rounds with increases. This makes a flat circle that gets wider and wider. Then, you'll do a few rounds with no changes at all, and that builds up the height. Finally, you start doing decreases, which pulls the shape inward, closing it all up to form a perfect sphere. That's the magic formula for almost every part you'll ever make.
This piece of advice right here is non-negotiable. The stuffing isn't just filler, it is the internal skeleton of your creation. You need to be generous with it. I mean, stuff it more than you think you need to. That's what ensures your doll has a firm, defined shape that won't get all saggy or lumpy later on.
And you can see the difference it makes right here, clear as day. On the left, firm stuffing gives you that clean, professional finish. But on the right, not enough stuffing just leads to a lumpy, uneven shape where all your hard work kind of gets lost. It is so worth taking your time on this step. It really makes all the difference. So, you've made all the individual parts. The arms, the legs, the head, the body. Now comes the moment where your creation really gets its personality. It is time for assembly.
If you take one thing away from this whole section, please let it be this. Before you make a single permanent stitch, use pins to place every part exactly where you want it. This lets you step back and check the proportions, the angles, the symmetry from every side. It's like making a blueprint before you build, and it prevents so many mistakes.
Having a clear order just makes assembly way less intimidating. I always like to work from the bottom up. Attach the legs to the body first, then the arms. And here's a pro tip. It's much easier to slide on clothes, like this jacket, before you attach the head. Once the head's on, then you can add all the final fun details like the ears and hair. And to connect all these parts, the whip stitch is your go-to.
Using those long yarn tails you left on each piece, you just stitch around the edge, going through both the piece and the body. It creates a really strong, clean, and almost invisible seam that holds everything together perfectly.
All right, the pattern is your roadmap, but this is where you, the artist, get to take the wheel. This final stage is all about injecting your own creativity and giving your character its own unique soul. A pattern gives you a great foundation, but it's not set in stone. Take the hair, for example. It's made by attaching individual strands of yarn. So, just think about it for a second. What happens if you use a different color? Or what if you cut the strands longer for a different style? The possibilities are literally endless.
Here are just a few simple ideas to get you started. A simple color swap for the jacket or hair can totally change the character's vibe. You could embroider a little smile instead of a neutral expression. Or maybe add tiny buttons to the jacket. These small choices are what make your creation truly one of a kind.
And for that truly professional look, you cannot skip the finishing touches. Use your yarn needle to weave in every single loose end so they're hidden and secure. Give the hair a final, precise trim, and a little bit of steam, not direct heat, can help set the yarn fibers, giving the whole doll a super polished, finished look.
And here we are. From one single magic ring, through hundreds of stitches, careful stuffing, and thoughtful assembly, a character is born. Every angle tells part of the story, from the determined look on the front to the awesome detailed emblem on the back. It's a complete, tangible piece of art that started with just you and a ball of yarn.
So, now you have the tools, you know the language, and you've got the techniques. You understand how to sculpt, how to assemble, and how to make it your own. The only question left is the most exciting one of all. What character is waiting inside you, just ready to be brought to life? What story are you going to tell?